A desperate woman fleeing bandits finds refuge with a mysterious cowboy, only to discover her savior leads the very gang hunting her. The metallic tang of blood mingles with desert sage as Elena Vasquez, 28, presses her torn dress against a bullet graze on her shoulder. Her bare feet, cut and swollen, leave crimson prints on sun-baked stone. The silence stretches like a held breath, then shatters. Hoofbeats. Thunder rolling across the mesa. Elena's dark eyes dart toward the sound, pupils dilating with primal fear. Dust plumes rise in the distance like smoke signals of death. She stumbles forward, her breathing ragged, each step a negotiation between survival and collapse. The abandoned mining camp of Perdition Gulch sprawls before her, weathered wood and rusted metal bones picked clean by 20 years of desert wind. But there, impossibly, smoke curls from a chimney. Life in this graveyard of dreams. She half runs, half falls toward the largest structure, a saloon with paint peeling like sunburned skin. Her palm slaps against the batwing doors. "Please," she gasps to the empty air. "Someone, anyone." A shadow moves in the saloon's depths. Boot leather whispers against warped floorboards. Jack Morrison, 35, emerges from the darkness like something carved from the desert itself. Weathered duster, silver-streaked beard, eyes the color of winter sky. A Colt .45 rests easy in his holster, worn smooth by countless draws. "Ma'am?" His voice carries the gravel of a man who's swallowed too much dust and silence. "You look like you've been dancing with the devil." Elena's knees buckle. Jack catches her before she hits the floor, his calloused hands surprisingly gentle. The scent of leather and gunpowder clings to him, familiar as death in this country. "They're coming," she whispers against his chest. "The Crimson Riders. They killed everyone." Jack's jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. "How many?" "6. Maybe 7. Her fingers clutch his shirt. "Their leader? Joaquin Morales. He has my father's map." Something flickers behind Jack's eyes. Recognition? Calculation? It passes too quickly to read. Map to what? Elena hesitates, then reaches into her bodice with trembling fingers. She produces a folded paper, edges brown with age and handling. "The Esperanza mine. My grandfather's claim. Papa said it was worth more than all the gold in California." Jack studies the map without touching it, his expression unreadable as carved stone. "Your grandfather was Miguel Esperanza? You knew him?" "Knew of him." Jack's gaze shifts to the window, where dust devils dance in the afternoon heat. Every prospector in 3 territories knew that name. Most figured the mine was legend. "It's real." Elena's voice carries desperate conviction. "Papa spent his whole life proving it. And now Joaquin has the only other copy." The distant hoofbeats grow closer, a drumbeat of approaching doom. Jack guides Elena to a chair, then moves to the window with predatory grace. His fingers trace the glass, leaving prints in the dust. "This place," Elena says, looking around the saloon's faded grandeur. "It's like a tomb." Was a tomb. Jack's reflection wavers in the dirty glass. Perdition Gulch died in 73. Silver played out, dreams dried up with the wells. Most folks moved on. Some. He pauses. Some stayed buried. Elena notices details now that terror no longer clouds her vision. Playing cards scattered on a table, drinks half finished and gathering dust. A roulette wheel frozen mid-spin. As if everyone simply vanished mid-game. What happened here? Jack turns from the window and for a moment his mask slips. She glimpses something raw beneath, guilt, perhaps, or old grief. "Cholera," he says simply. "Took the town in 3 days. I was away. When I came back." He gestures at the emptiness. "But you stayed." "Had my reasons." The hoofbeats stop. Elena's blood turns to ice water. Jack draws his Colt with fluid motion, checking the cylinder. 6 bullets. He produces a second gun from behind the bar. A smaller piece, pearl-handled. "You know how to use this?" Elena nods, though her hands shake as she takes the weapon. "My father taught me." "Good. Because teaching time's over." The batwing doors explode inward. Joaquin Morales, 40s, fills the entrance, a mountain of a man wrapped in black leather and silver conchos. His mustache droops like raven wings, framing a mouth that's forgotten how to smile without cruelty. Behind him, 5 riders spread like a plague across the saloon's threshold. Dust motes dance in the slanted light, each speck a tiny witness to the coming violence. "Elena, mi amor," Joaquin purrs, his accent thick as molasses. "You've led us quite a chase." Jack steps slightly in front of Elena, his movement casual but deliberate. "Afternoon, gentlemen." Saloon's closed. Joaquin's laugh rumbles like distant thunder. "Ah, but we're not here for drinks, amigo. We're here for the señorita and what she carries. Ladies under my protection now." "Your protection?" Joaquin's eyes narrow, studying Jack with new interest. "And who might you be, this knight in dusty armor?" "Name's Morrison. Jack Morrison." The silence that follows carries weight, recognition rippling through Joaquin's men like wind through wheat. Hands drift toward gun butts. The air grows thick with unspoken history. "Morrison," Joaquin repeats slowly. "That name, it tastes familiar on my tongue. Lot of Morrisons in the territory. See, but only one who rides with ghosts." Joaquin's smile turns predatory. "Only one who disappeared from Perdition Gulch the night before the sickness came." Elena feels the shift in the room's atmosphere, a subtle realignment of power and knowledge. Jack's shoulders tense beneath his duster. "You're mistaken." "Am I?" Joaquin takes a step forward. "Because I remember stories. Stories of a man who could make entire towns vanish. Who could poison wells and blame disease. Who worked for whoever paid best. The accusation hangs in the air like gun smoke." Elena's mind races, connecting fragments. Jack's knowledge of her grandfather. His presence in this dead town. The way Joaquin's men watch him with wary respect rather than simple caution. "Jack." Her voice barely rises above a whisper. "What is he talking about?" Jack's jaw works silently, grinding truth between his teeth. When he speaks, his voice carries the weight of confession. "There are things you don't understand, Elena. Things about this place. About me." "Then explain them." Joaquin laughs, the sound sharp as breaking glass. "Shall I tell her, Morrison? About the contracts? About the silver mine owners who paid you to clear out competition? About how convenient it was that cholera struck just as the Esperanza claim was about to be validated?" Elena's blood turns to winter. "No. Your grandfather was close, señorita. So close to proving his mine existed. But certain people couldn't allow that. Couldn't let some Mexican prospector upset the established order." The pearl-handled gun trembles in Elena's grip. She turns to Jack, searching his face for denial, for anything that might preserve the fragile trust she'd built. "Tell me he's lying." Jack's silence speaks louder than words. "The cholera," Elena breathes. "You didn't just survive it. You caused it. It wasn't supposed to happen like that." Jack's voice cracks like old leather. "The plan was to buy out the claims, relocate the families. But the mine owners, they wanted a cleaner solution." "Cleaner." The word tastes like poison on Elena's tongue. "You murdered an entire town." "I poisoned 3 wells. I didn't know about the children, the families who'd moved in from the hills. By the time I realized." Jack's hand trembles almost imperceptibly. "I tried to stop it. Tried to warn people. But it was too late." Joaquin claps slowly, mockingly. "Such a touching confession. But it changes nothing. The girl has the map. We have business to conclude." Elena backs toward the bar, the gun heavy in her hands. 2 predators circle her now. Joaquin, who wants her grandfather's legacy, and Jack, whose protection comes wrapped in blood. "The map," she says, her voice steadying with resolve. "It's not just about gold, is it?" Joaquin's smile falters slightly. "Gold is gold, Querida." "No." Elena's mind works furiously, pieces falling into place. "My grandfather wasn't just a prospector. He was a witness. He saw what happened here. That's why you need both maps, not to find the mine but to find what he hid." Jack's eyes widen with understanding. "Evidence." "See," Elena nods. "Letters. Contracts. Proof of who paid for Perdition Gulch to die. The saloon falls silent except for the whisper of wind through broken windows. Everyone understands now, this isn't about treasure. It's about truth. About justice 20 years delayed. Joaquin's hand moves to his gun. Enough talk. Wait. Jack steps forward, his voice carrying new authority. There's something you should know, Joaquin. Something about why I'm really here. More lies. No lies. Just the rest of the truth. Jack moves to the bar, his movements careful and deliberate. He reaches beneath the counter and produces a leather satchel, worn smooth with age. I've been waiting 20 years for someone to come looking for Miguel Esperanza's mine. Waiting for someone who deserved to find what he really left behind. Elena's breath catches. What do you mean? Jack opens the satchel. Inside, yellowed papers catch the light. Contracts, correspondence, bank drafts. A paper trail of corruption and murder. Your grandfather gave me these the night before he died. Made me promise to keep them safe until someone came who could use them right. You knew my grandfather? He was my friend. Jack's voice breaks slightly. The only man in this territory who treated me like something more than a hired gun. When the mine owners approached me about Perdition Gulch, I told Miguel. Warned him to run. But he stayed. He stayed to gather evidence. To build a case that would bring them all down. He knew it would cost him his life, but he did it anyway. Jack's eyes meet Elena's. He did it for you. For the future you deserved. Joaquin snarls, his patience exhausted. Touching. But dead men's promises don't spend. His gun clears leather with practiced speed. Jack dives sideways, tackling Elena behind the bar as Joaquin's bullet splinters would where her head had been. The other riders spread out, seeking angles of attack. There's more, Jack gasps, pressing a brass key into Elena's palm. Behind the mirror. Your grandfather's real legacy. Elena's fingers close around the key, its metal warm from Jack's touch. She looks into his eyes and sees not the killer Joaquin described, but a man carrying 20 years of guilt like stones in his pockets. Why, she whispers. Why help me now? Because I owe him. Because I owe this town. Because maybe... Jack reloads his Colt with steady hands. Maybe it's time to stop running from what I've done. Bullets shatter bottles above their heads, raining glass like deadly snow. Elena crawls toward the ornate mirror behind the bar, her grandfather's key clutched tight. The mirror swings aside on hidden hinges, revealing a cavity in the wall. Inside, wrapped in oilcloth, she finds a thick ledger and a bundle of letters tied with ribbon. Her grandfather's handwriting covers page after page. Names, dates, amounts. A meticulous record of every bribe, every threat, every life bought and sold in the name of silver and gold. But it's the letters that steal her breath. Letters from mining executives, territorial governors, even federal officials. All complicit. All guilty. My God, she breathes. This could bring down half the territory. That's what your grandfather intended. Jack fires twice, driving back one of Joaquin's men. Question is, what do you intend? Elena stares at the evidence in her hands, understanding flooding through her like cold water. This isn't just about justice for Perdition Gulch. This is about power. About the ability to destroy or protect some of the most influential men in the American West. Joaquin, she calls out, her voice carrying new authority. I know why you really want this map. The shooting stops. In the sudden silence, dust motes dance like suspended time. You're not working for yourself. You're working for them. The same men who paid Jack 20 years ago. Joaquin's laugh sounds forced now. You're grasping at shadows, Nina? Am I? Elena stands slowly, the ledger visible in her hands. Because I'm looking at a payment record right here. Joaquin Morales. $5,000. Paid by the Territorial Mining Consortium to eliminate remaining complications regarding the Esperanza claim. The color drains from Joaquin's face. You see, Elena continues, her voice gaining strength, my grandfather didn't just document the original conspiracy. He documented the cover-up, including the order to kill his daughter, my mother, and eventually me. Jack's eyes widen with understanding. You're not just Miguel's granddaughter. You're the last witness. The last person who might remember what he told me as a child. The last person who might know where he hid the real evidence. Elena looks at Jack, then at Joaquin, seeing the situation with crystal clarity. But here's what neither of you understood. I don't just have my grandfather's map. I have his memory. He told me everything before he died. Every name. Every crime. Every secret. She holds up the ledger. This is just confirmation. The saloon falls silent except for the whisper of wind through broken dreams. Elena stands at the crossroads of choice, the weight of truth heavy in her hands. Joaquin breaks the silence first. You're a smart girl, Elena. Smarter than your grandfather. He died for principles. You don't have to. He holsters his gun, a gesture of negotiation rather than surrender. The men I work for, they're reasonable. They understand that some secrets are better buried. They're prepared to offer you a new life. A comfortable life. Enough money to disappear, to start over somewhere far from here. Elena feels the temptation like honey on her tongue. Safety. Security. An end to running. All you have to do, Joaquin continues, is give me the ledger. Let the dead stay buried. Jack watches her face, reading the conflict there. Elena. Don't. She cuts him off. You don't get to advise me. Not after what you've done. But even as she says it, she sees the pain in his eyes. The genuine remorse. The man who spent 20 years trying to atone for one terrible choice. What about justice? Jack asks quietly. What about the people who died here? Don't they deserve justice? Elena's laugh carries bitter edges. Where was justice when they killed my grandfather? When they murdered my mother? When they've spent 20 years hunting me like an animal? She looks at the ledger, then at Joaquin's expectant face. You want to know what justice looks like? It looks like survival. It looks like living long enough to see another sunrise. But even as she speaks the words, she hears her grandfather's voice in her memory. Asterisk Mija, some things are worth more than life. Some truths must be told, no matter the cost. Asterisk. The moral weight settles on her shoulders like a mantle. Keep the evidence, expose the conspiracy, and spend the rest of her life running from powerful enemies. Or destroy it, take the money, and let the dead stay buried while the guilty live in comfort. What's it going to be, señorita? Joaquin's voice carries false patience. Elena closes her eyes, feeling the crossroads beneath her feet. When she opens them, her decision burns bright as desert sun. I choose truth. Elena's words ring like a bell in the dusty air. She raises the ledger high, her voice carrying across the saloon. Every name. Every crime. Every dollar paid in blood. The world will know what happened here. Joaquin's mask of civility crumbles. Then you choose death. His hand drops to his gun, but Jack is faster. The Colt clears leather like lightning, thunder rolling through the saloon. Joaquin staggers, clutching his shoulder, his own weapon spinning away across the floor. The other riders react instantly, filling the air with lead and smoke. Elena dives behind the bar as bullets shatter mirrors and memories alike. Jack moves like a man possessed, his guilt transformed into deadly purpose. 20 years of self-recrimination fuel his aim as he drives the bandits back, step by bloody step. But numbers tell their story. 5 against 1. Even Jack Morrison has limits. A bullet catches him in the leg, spinning him around. Another creases his ribs, painting his shirt crimson. He falls behind an overturned table, breathing hard. It's over, Morrison. Joaquin calls out, pressing a bandana to his wounded shoulder. You can't protect her forever. Elena looks at the ledger in her hands, then at Jack's bleeding form. The choice crystallizes with brutal clarity. She could run. Slip out the back while they're focused on Jack. Take the evidence and disappear into the desert. Let Jack die for his sins while she lives to fight another day. Elena checks the pearl-handled gun. 3 bullets left. Jack, she whispers. Can you still shoot? He nods grimly, reloading with practiced efficiency despite his wounds. Then let's finish this. Elena stands, the ledger tucked securely in her dress, the gun steady in her grip. Joaquin, you want the evidence? Come and take it. She steps into the open, drawing fire. Bullets whistle past her ears as she walks forward with steady purpose, each step a declaration of intent. Jack rises behind her, his Colt speaking with deadly authority. 2 of Joaquin's men fall, their stories ending in dust and regret. Elena's gun barks once, twice, 3 times. The pearl handle grows warm in her palm as she empties the cylinder with surgical precision. When the smoke clears, only Joaquin remains, clutching his wounded shoulder and staring at the carnage around him. "It's over," Elena says simply. Joaquin's laugh sounds like breaking glass. "You think this ends anything? You think killing me stops them? There are others. There will always be others." "Maybe," Elena agrees. "But there will also always be people willing to stand up to them." She looks at Jack, seeing him clearly for the first time. Not the killer of 20 years ago, but the man who chose redemption over safety. Who chose to protect rather than profit. The evidence goes to the territorial marshal, she decides. All of it. Let the courts decide who pays and who walks free. Joaquin spits blood into the dust. "You're signing your own death warrant." "Maybe. But I'm also signing theirs." Elena helps Jack to his feet, his weight solid against her shoulder. Together they walk toward the Batwing doors and the desert beyond. Behind them, Perdition Gulch settles back into silence, its ghosts finally ready to rest. 3 months later, Elena stands on the steps of the territorial courthouse in Santa Fe, a newspaper clutched in her hands. The headlines scream justice in bold black letters. Mining conspiracy exposed. Territorial officials arrested. Perdition Gulch massacre solved. Jack approaches from across the plaza, walking with only a slight limp. His beard is trimmed now, his clothes clean. He looks like a man who's learned to sleep without nightmares. "The last of them was sentenced yesterday," he reports. 20 years hard labor. Elena nods, folding the newspaper carefully. "My grandfather would be proud. He'd be proud of you. What you chose to do." They stand in comfortable silence, watching the bustle of a living town. Children play in the fountain. Merchants hawk their wares. Life continues, messy and beautiful and real. "What will you do now?" Elena asks. Jack considers the question, his eyes distant. "There's talk of rebuilding Perdition Gulch. Making it a proper town again. They'll need someone who knows the territory. Someone who knows how to protect it. Something like that." He looks at her. "What about you?" Elena touches the deed in her pocket. Legal ownership of the Esperanza mine, finally validated after 20 years of legal battles. The mine that does exist, that will make her wealthy beyond her grandfather's dreams. "I'm going to build something," she says. "A school maybe. A place where children can learn about truth. About standing up for what's right, even when it's dangerous." "The Miguel Esperanza School for Truth and Justice?" Elena smiles. "Something like that." Jack tips his hat, a gesture of respect and farewell. "If you ever need anything, I know where to find you." He walks away across the plaza, his shadow long in the afternoon sun. Elena watches until he disappears into the crowd, then turns toward her own future. In her pocket, the deed crinkles softly. In her heart, her grandfather's voice whispers approval. Some truths are worth dying for. But the best truths are worth living for. Elena Vasquez walks into the sunset, carrying justice like a torch in her hands. 5 years later, the town of New Perdition thrives in the shadow of the Esperanza mine. The Miguel Esperanza School for Truth and Justice graduates its first class, young men and women trained to be journalists, lawyers and advocates for the powerless. Sheriff Jack Morrison keeps the peace with a steady hand and a clear conscience. The ghosts of Perdition Gulch finally rest easy. And sometimes, when the desert wind blows just right, visitors swear they can hear the sound of children laughing where once there was only silence. Some stories end in death. The best stories end in life.